Hi, I'm Greg, and I will show you several ways you can use to create materials and shaders in Houdini. First of all, what is the difference between shader and material in Houdini? Material is considered to be one or more shaders. So let's start with the most typical way. Let's switch to the shop context, and here let's start typing material. And here we have one. Let's look inside. All we have is a sub output, which is not enough to generate anything useful, so we need to add at least a basic VobVex surface shop and connect it to the sub output. Now, how can we preview the results of our work? Let's add a new pane tab type, and it needs to be shader view. And in the shader view you can choose whether you want to preview the new shader on a sphere, on a tube, on a grid, or on a torus. It doesn't really matter right now for us. Okay, so one way was by adding a new material in the shop network. Another way is by adding directly the VobVex surface shop and then collapsing it into a new material with Shift C. The advantage of this way is that we have one connection added kind of automatically. Other than that, there is no difference. Alright, we can also add materials directly into the object network context. So let's see whether we can add material. No, there is nothing like material visible in the tab menu. So let's add a shop network. And now we can do exactly the same thing that we did in the shop contexts, which is adding a new material or adding a new VobVex surface shop and collapsing it with Shift C. Alright, now one more thing you can do is you can add a shop network inside geometry. And here is the trick. You can see that we do have a material in here. However, this is something totally different. This is just a SOP, which or a surface operator, which allows us to choose and apply any of the materials or shaders that we created previously. To create a material inside a geometry node, we need to add another shop network. And again, any of the two ways is good for us. Either a material or a VobVex surface shop. And collapse. Alright, let's see if we can do anything useful with those materials. Oh, and one more way actually. In the material palette, you can drag any of the materials that are in the gallery either to the selected materials zone, which exactly is a shop, or you can drag and drop it to the geometry, which means it will be applied for this particular geometry. Back into shop. To get some useful results, we need to add something. So let's try adding a parameter which will let us specify a diffuse color. Let's call this parameter color. Alright, and the parameter needs to be of a color type, and let's give it some flashy default value. Okay, so now let's connect the color parameter to the color output, and let's see the results in the shader view. Well, it's red. Alright, so let's rename it simple material. let's drag and drop the material to our geometry, and you can see no change at all. There is two reasons which can cause that. One of them is that right now the OpenGL, which is responsible for the colors in the display, still shows the default white value. So let's copy that color. Right click, choose copy parameter, then right click, choose paste relative references, and we can see the red thing. Alright, now I mentioned the second possible reason, and the second reason is that if there is a material specified inside the geometry node, it will override the material applied at the object level. We don't need it, let's delete it for now. And the material that you drag and drop into the in the object level is visible in the material tab. Alright, let's see a render preview. And it doesn't really seem to be working, which is quite typical for Windows setups. So let's cancel that. Let's add a new render node, and let's see the render preview. The result we got is quite flat and boring, and the reason for that is we don't have any lighting model specified. So let's add one. We will use a default Vex specular, even though our choice is quite wide, and we will mix the two. Let's see the shader preview. We should already see an improvement. Alright, and let's see whether the same can be visible in the render. And indeed, since our only light source is the default headlight, we can see that highlight in the center of the geometry. Now, one more way you can use is to see the results is the render view. You just need to choose the render output node, and you get the results quite automatically. Now let's change something in that material. Say let's change the color. Let's make it blue, and the render preview gets updated automatically. That's all. Thank you very much.